Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnana Shlakaya Chakshurudilikamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Shivaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pujayine Nirvase Shasvanani Prajitari Sakarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Prasad Bhaktivedanta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you for coming this evening and spending your time with us for the Sunday News program. We really appreciate it. Today we'll be speaking about a very important text called the Bhagavad Gita. I'm sure many of you know the Bhagavad Gita. You know that it's been spoken by Lord Krishna himself over 5,000 years ago to Arjuna. And the meaning of Bhagavad Gita is the song of God. So Gita means song, and Bhagavad means of the divine Bhagavan, so the personality of God. So that's the meaning of Bhagavad Gita. Now, that was not the first time that the Bhagavad Gita was spoken. Lord Krishna actually spoke the Bhagavad Gita hundreds of millions of years ago to the sun god, Vivasha, who in turn had spoken to Manu, the father of mankind. And Manu, in turn, 2 million years ago approximately, spoken to his son, King Ishvashtu. So, after that, Krishna re-spoke it 5,000 years ago, as you know, to Arjuna. So that means that the Bhagavad Gita is actually authentic, authorized Vedic knowledge that is coming down through the parampara system, right? So the other thing is that it's the only literature, it's very important, it's the only literature that has come directly from the lips of Lord Krishna himself. You just think about that, directly from his lips, right? It's the only literature that's come directly from his lips. Pretty profound. And in the Padma Purana, it says, Gita Shasumidam Punyam, Yahapate Prayata Kumam, Vishnu Padam Avapnoti, Baya Sukhadi Varjitaha. And what does that mean? It means that anyone who sincerely reads and accepts the instructions of this purified Shastra called the Gita, he for sure will be free from the life of miseries, anxieties, and fears. And his path to the supreme abode is guaranteed. Who would like to go back to the supreme abode? And be guaranteed, right? So this is your ticket to read the Bhagavad Gita. And that is not the only time in the Padma Purana that the glories and the value of the Bhagavad Gita have been spoken. It's all through the Padma Purana, as well as many other Shastras. In fact, in the Padma Purana, it also states that the 18 chapters, there's 18 chapters, 700 verses in the Bhagavad Gita, that the 18 chapters represent the form of the Lord. It's the actual form of the Lord. So the first 5 represent the 5 heads of the Lord. The next 10 represent his arms, so that's the first 15 chapters. The 16th chapter represents his navel or belly. And the 17th and 18th chapters, the final 2, represent his lotus feet. So one may say, well, great, it's an ancient text, right? It was spoken 5,000 years ago, millions of years ago, hundreds of millions of years ago. That just proves that it's not relevant today, right? It's an old text. What does it have to do with us today? Today, we have technology, we have different issues. So why today? Because actually, when Krishna spoke the Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, Arjuna was full of doubts, confusion, anxiety. He was fearful. What will happen if he fights his kinsmen and kills them? What will the reaction be? Will he get karma? What will all happen, right? And we have the similar types of fears and anxieties today. We might not be literally on a battlefield trying to fight in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, but those fears, anxieties, sufferings, miseries, questions, doubts, they're here today. The problems might be different, but they're the same as today as they were 100 years ago, thousands of years ago, or millions of years ago. Because this material world is dukkha. It's full of miseries, it's full of unhappiness, and we all want to be happy, so we're trying to find out how to be happy, and the Bhagavad Gita actually answers that. Today we might actually think that, oh, well, we are happy, maybe today, I don't know, you had a good ride to the temple, there was no traffic, happy, right? Or, I don't know, you had a wonderful lunch today, happy. But you'll be wondering, when is the next problem coming up? When is it going to jump out at me, right? There's that anxiety. Even a wealthy person might be thinking, how am I going to retain that wealth? Will I lose it? There's anxiety. Will the stock market crash? Anxiety, right? So there is always some hankering, some anxieties that are going on, or we're wishing for something better. We're never satisfied. Or we're comparing ourselves to others. We might say, oh, well, he has a better job than me. Oh, he has a bigger house than me. He has a nicer car than me, right? And so we're always comparing and hankering, and we're never satisfied. And the funny thing is that even if we do suddenly, somehow, fortunately, in a material sense, get that job or get that possession, we soon discover that we didn't really get satisfied, right? You probably had that experience, right? You've been hankering for something, maybe a new watch or a nice electric car or whatever, you get it. And a few days later, it kind of just washes off. And you're back to the same point, and you're continually wanting something better and better and better, right? The other similarity is that when Krishna spoke the Bhagavad Gita, he spoke it on a battlefield of Kurukshetra. If you notice, he did not speak it on a remote mountaintop or a secluded place or in a nice peaceful temple, right? He spoke it among warriors that were ready to fight. Conch shells were blowing, elephants were making noise, horses were neighing. It's not a peaceful place, right, to speak, to explain something. But why was it explained on the battlefield? Because it's a correlate, because we are in the battlefield of life. We also have noises coming at us. We have all these distractions, all these things attacking us, right? All the time. Some jealousy, some enviousness, somebody got the job, whatever. There's always some unhappiness. Your child had this problem, that problem. So we are fighting a battlefield of life here, and Krishna was showing that yes, in the battlefield, the Bhagavad Gita is the solution. Now one may say, okay, yes, maybe I should read the Bhagavad Gita. Fine. But I'll read it when I've dealt with all my problems. Right now, I've got to deal with all these problems. I've got these problems going on. But actually, and we all have this experience, problems never end in the material world. They will never end. It's just like a to-do list. Sure, if you all keep a to-do list, some of us keep it on our phones, some of it handwrite it, right? You write one thing, you check mark it, another thing comes up, right? Just like the to-do list never ends, our problems never end. And some of you may know a game called whack-a-mole. How many know the game whack-a-mole? Not many, okay. Jessica knows it. So it's a game where there's these moles in these holes, and you have a hammer. And the mole pops up and you bang it down. The second you bang one down, another one pops up, and it's a continuous thing. And that's exactly like the material world, right? We cannot expect our problems to end. It's just false. And the Bhagavad Gita does not promise to end our problems. What it does, however, is tell us how to handle those problems, how to overcome those problems, how to rise above them, and how to have a new perspective on those problems. That's the difference, okay? It's like a shield. Now you say, okay, yes, I should read it, fine, but I have no time, right? A young little kid will say, well, I'm too young to understand it, and I'm playing with my toys, I don't have time. The student gets a little older, the student says, well, I'm very busy with my studies. right? I've got all my studies, I've got my classes, I've got my exams, therefore I have no time. Then the individual gets a little bit older, right? Says, now, well, I'm married, I've got a family, I've got to take care of the kids, I've got to go to work, no time, right? There's always an excuse. And then gets older still, and now he's an old man, says, oh my gosh, my joints, my brain, I can't absorb this, right? Let me just take care of my body, right? And then what happens? Life is gone. That's it, right? Never read the Bhagavad Gita, never understood the purpose of life. Right? The average lifespan is 80 years. It's not a whole lot of time if you think about it. 8 decades. That's the average. And if you see, we're already in the end of 2023. It seems like just yesterday we were at the end of 2022, right? Time flies very fast. You don't realize it. So the time is now. The time is not to wait till the end of life and let it pass you by. Okay? Because actually this Bhagavad Gita is the manual for human life. It provides us all sorts of answers, like what is the purpose of life? What is the difference between the soul and the body? Duties, dharma, self-realization. How do you control this mind that is always flickering? Okay? Just like if you go and purchase a car or a toy, a piece of furniture, an appliance, technology, you get a manual with it, right? Tells you how to assemble it, how to use it, how to operate it. But what about this human form of life? It's pretty complex. Do we have a manual for it? Yes, it's the Bhagavad Gita. Because this life is so rare, we get the human form of life after 8,400,000 species. And do we use it properly or do we waste it? Because Krishna has given us that manual. So, just like when you get a piece of IKEA furniture, everybody looks up. I know it's not the greatest manual, but everybody looks up and tries to assemble it. If you don't, without the manual, what happens? It's pretty failed assembly, right? So similarly, with the human form of life, we should have a manual, and we should read the manual as soon as possible to understand how to operate this human form of life. Now, of course, there's many self-help books out there. So yeah, well, you know, fine, the Bhagavad Gita is maybe a manual for my life, but I've seen a lot of self-help books out there. There's a lot of motivational speakers, self-help gurus. There's TV shows talking about how can I improve my life, how can I be happy, how can I be more satisfied, right? You've seen that? Actually, in the US, there's 15,000 self-help books that are published every year. It's an $11 billion industry. Can you believe that? And why is it? Because people are searching for answers but are not getting them. So they go to one manual, they don't have an answer. They go to another one, they go to another self-help guru, but they're not getting answers, right? So people are searching, but they're not getting the answers. Are we seeing more satisfied people? No, we're not. So the question is, why are we wasting time on such manuals, such self-help gurus? Why not go to the source? And some people may think, well, you know, we're actually pretty advanced. We're a progressive society now. We have all this technology, we have AI, we have airplanes, we have all this stuff. But are we really better off? Are we really more progressive if we sit back and look at it? Are we? No. There's still wars, there's conflicts, there's hunger, there's homelessness, there's recessions, economic issues, right? We're seeing it all over the news right now. No government authority can fix it, right? Everybody's trying, but nobody can fix it. So the reason for that is that we are thinking that we are the controllers. Prabhupada says, little control means no control, right? We think that we're the controllers and we know what's good for us. We don't need anybody else to tell us, especially not God, you know? We know what we want, and God should just fulfill our desires, right? To say, oh, well, I want to get this car. I think it's good for me, so let me pray. Oh, please, Krishna, give me this car, right? So we go to Krishna to be our wish fulfillers, our desire fulfillers. But the actual thing is that we should sit back and think, should we be thinking about what our desires are, Or should we sit back and find out what Krishna wants us to do with our lives? And once we sit back and do that, Krishna is ready to give us those answers. He has given us those answers in the Bhagavad Gita. He answers how to control our mind, how to mitigate anger. Wouldn't everybody like to know how to reduce their anger? Like, we get pretty sparked up very quickly, right? Somebody says something wrong to us, we're ready to fight, or defend ourselves, right? So how to mitigate anger, how to mitigate lust and ego, ankar, stress. So the Bhagavad Gita gives us those answers. It gives us the answers to the path to actual happiness, not false happiness that flickers, actual happiness. It gives us the answers how to detach ourselves from the results of fruit of action, so we're not so worried about the results because we know we're living life for Krishna. It gives us a way to step away from material bondage. And most importantly, it tells us who Krishna is. The absolute truth. The secret of all secrets. Who doesn't like to know a secret, right? Somebody says, oh, I have something to tell you. Everybody goes, yeah, tell me, right? But the Bhagavad Gita is the secret of all secrets and the ultimate goal of life. And the nice thing about the Bhagavad Gita is that no matter which page you open it up to, you will find an answer to something that you're questioning. And I've seen this time and time again. People have told that, they were thinking of a problem, something was a doubt in their mind. They just simply opened up to any page and they found the answer. They felt it's pretty miraculous. Well, it is miraculous and it's not miraculous because it's Krishna speaking. So he knows our hearts. And the Bhagavad Gita is never boring. It's always fresh. No matter how many times you might read the same verse, you will get more and more out of it. Just like a rose has so many layers, so too does the Bhagavad Gita. You'll never be bored. And why is it? Because it's not some sort of fictional novel. If you see a movie or you read one novel, it's like, oh, I've read that before, right? But this is ever fresh. Now that I've convinced you, who wants to read the Bhagavad Gita?
Yes, very good.
John. So now one may say that, okay, great, I want to read the Bhagavad Gita. I'm going to make time to read the Bhagavad Gita and I'm going to read it as soon as possible. Now the next question is, which Bhagavad Gita should I read? So there's hundreds and hundreds of versions of Bhagavad Gitas in the world. And all of them have their own interpretations, their own motives, the author's own motives for writing the Bhagavad Gita. But there is only one version called the Bhagavad Gita as it is. And those three words, if you see here, those three words, as it is, are very, very important. Why is that? Srila Prabhupada painstakingly brought the Bhagavad Gita as it is to us, to the Western world, and to the world at large, so that we could find out exactly what Krishna spoke, without any addition, subtraction, change, or opinion. He followed the Parampara system from Krishna directly to tell us what Krishna desires. So you're getting the pure, authentic information. So if you open the Bhagavad Gita, and I don't know if you can all see this, your eyes are pretty good, you'll see that the original Sanskrit is there, which is exactly what Krishna spoke. Now most of us cannot read Sanskrit, so then we've been provided the transliteration into English. So we can phonetically read the translation or the shloka, okay? And then afterwards, we have the grammatically correct word-for-word translation. So we can see, what is that Sanskrit word to the English word? How authentic, right? There's no question. And then afterwards, the full shloka or the full verse in English, right? Now the bonus that Prabhupada has provided to us is the purport. The translation of purport means meaning, not interpretation, meaning. So just like when you go to the doctor and you get a prescription, it might be a long named medication that you don't even know what it means or what it's for. And you take it to an authorized pharmacist, right? And the pharmacist fulfills that prescription and then explains to you how to use the medication, when you should take it, what the side effects are, etc. Right? Similarly, Srila Prabhupada has provided us the explanation. Because we might not understand the words exactly as Krishna spoke it, so Prabhupada provides us an expansion and explanation. It's pretty profound, right? Now, some of you might say, well, I can't read English. I want Japanese, or Spanish, or Vietnamese, or Arabic, or Hebrew, whatever. Well, the As It Is version is published in 87 languages. So once Srila Prabhupada was in the United Kingdom, and a reporter asked him that why have you come to the West? And Srila Prabhupada said, I came to the West because when you Britishers, remember he was in the United Kingdom, when you Britishers came to India, you plundered her of all her wealth, but you forgot one thing, the special, most precious jewel. And I have come to give you that, the wisdom of the Bhagavad Gita. So you see, Srila Prabhupada was the ultimate goodwill ambassador. That at the advanced age, he came across in the Jaladuta suffering 2 heart attacks. Why? He could have stayed in Vrindavan and settled there. Why did he come? He came to give us this Vedic knowledge, to save humankind, to save mankind, to save you. Right? So we should take advantage of this. And we're seeing that this Bhagavad Gita is providing solace, wisdom, answers to people from all walks of life. It's absolutely non-sectarian, which means that this is not a religious book. It's the ultimate self-help book for anyone, no matter your faith background, no matter your age, your gender, your race, doesn't matter. Anyone at any age and from any background can read it and get the benefit from it. Actually, in December now, we're in the month of Gita Jayanti. Krishna actually spoke the Bhagavad Gita Arjuna in December. By the lunar calendar this year, it's December 22nd. And we're also in the month of Prabhupada Marathon. Now, somebody asked, what is the Prabhupada Marathon? Actually, Prabhupada Marathon started just over 50 years ago in 1972 in Los Angeles. And at that time, the devotees went out during the Christmas season, and they thought, let's share some Vedic literature. So they spontaneously went, a few devotees, out to the malls and the shopping centers, and they all went their separate ways to distribute books. And so they saw that people were taking the books, people wanted gifts, so they were grabbing the books. And so one devotee stayed out pretty late, like probably approximately midnight. He came back really happy, he distributed all his books, and he says, I'm sure everyone's sleeping, and I've come and I've done a really wonderful thing. And he comes back to the temple. None of the devotees are there. They're all out doing the same thing. They're all distributing Srila Prabhupada's books and spreading the gift of knowledge. And so that was the start of a friendly competition of distributing Srila Prabhupada's books. He was really, really happy with the results. And since then, every year, year after year after year, in December, temples across the world go out and distribute Srila Prabhupada's books at Prabhupada's Marathon. And to date, Srila Prabhupada is one of the most prolific authors. Over 587 million pieces of literature by Srila Prabhupada have been distributed worldwide. So how can you participate in the Prabhupada Marathon? The first thing is I would humbly ask that if you don't have a Bhagavad Gita for yourself, please get one and please read it. Please transform your lives. And if you do have the Bhagavad Gita, then read it, but also get Bhagavad Gitas for your friends, for your colleagues, for your peers, for your clients, right? During the holiday season, we're all looking for gifts to give, right? People are thinking, what should I give? Should I give chocolates, candles, a sweater? You know, it's some anxiety there, right? What to give? Well, you have a matchless gift here. You just take a bunch of these and give them out. Put a little ribbon on it. Look how pretty they are over there, right? And I have a bonus for you. You don't have to go to a mall to get it. You don't have to fight the crowds. Isn't that wonderful? We're going to save some time, right? Furthermore, another bonus is you don't have to go fight for parking spots and have people yelling at you, right? So we're going to give those to you today. Just grab them and give them as gifts. And the third way that you can participate is the gift of Gita, which is a program that we've been doing here at Iskcon Toronto called the Iskcon program for the past 13 years. And what we do is we systematically place Bhagavad Gitas and other Vedic literature in institutions where people may not have easy access. Like you are all fortunate that you can grab a Bhagavad Gita here, but not everybody can. Some people are in old age homes or prisons or they're military personnel. So we place Bhagavad Gitas in courts, hospitals, hotels, libraries, prisons, detention centers, airports, old age homes, police divisions, and so many more. And that way people have access. And over the 13 years that we've been doing this, we've placed in over 3,500 institutions and over 150,000 books have been placed. And it's certainly making an impact. We're getting testimonials all the time, and I'll just give you one testimonial. We had an inmate who is in prison, he still is, for a very heinous crime. And he came across the Bhagavad Gita that we had placed in the prison, and he took it and he started reading it. And he started writing letters to us and asking more questions about the Bhagavad Gita and more philosophical questions. And with those answers back and forth and him delving deeper and deeper in the Bhagavad Gita, he then asked for japa beads. And he asked for a little picture altar. And he became vegetarian. He would offer all his foodstuffs. Not only that, he would start in the prison distributing books to other inmates, telling them about this Vedic wisdom. And the chaplain there told us that he's seen 180 degrees change in this individual. The individual's really angry and violent, and suddenly he's a gentle soul, he's preaching, he's telling everybody about it. And this inmate has written us numerous letters with so much heartfelt gratitude, saying that this one Bhagavad Gita changed his life. And he wanted to let us know that his soul has changed because of the Bhagavad Gita. And that's not just the only example. I just wanted to give you one profound example so you can understand how it can transform not only your lives, but other lives when we share the Gita with others. And Krishna says, Yayidam paramam guhyam, mad bhakte swavidasyati, bhakti mai param katra, mami vasyatya samsaya. What does that mean? That anyone who shares this supreme secret is guaranteed pure devotion, and in the end will come back to me. This is Krishna saying it in the Bhagavad Gita. This is the guarantee, right? When you buy a self-help book at the store, do they have such a guarantee? No. But the Bhagavad Gita right in there at the very end, it gives you that guarantee. 100% guarantee. No money back. Okay? So please, I would humbly say that take advantage of the Bhagavad Gita. Make your lives sublime. Men and animals all eat, mate, defend, and sleep. But what is the difference with this rare human form of life? We have the opportunity to take advantage of this Vedic knowledge, particularly the Bhagavad Gita, and follow those instructions and change our lives and go back home, back to Godhead. And I know we're running out of time, so if you have any questions, I'll be here after class. Thank you so much for listening. Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thanks, Mataji, for your presentation here. Mataji just gave you whatever Prabhupada's instructions as it is. He just gave you the picture today. So now we are going to have Gita Congress winners prize